Hey, hi, howdy, hello. Hmm. So, phone on a little phone holder. Um, we were here yesterday. Um, you saw some of the court proceedings. Um, but tonight we have a couple of different cases to go over because the first one we're gonna watch is this woman believes that she is owed $9,000 a month still, just because she wants it. That's not how that works. So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
$1,000 a month. So it doesn't matter if my client needs $3,000 a month to live off of, or she needs $9,000 for extra expenses and a standard and quality of life
expense that she listed, she deems as estimated. Every expense without a single exception.
After getting a divorce, she expected him to maintain the life she was accustomed to, and that's why they are in court. She believes that he is supposed to pay for her lifestyle, ignoring the fact that they no longer share the same roof. She wants nothing less than $9,000 per month.
What do we need to do today?
Your Honor, if I may, I think my motion to compel is the oldest filed. We filed that back in November. Mr. Olson has filed a motion to compel in January. A motion for spousal maintenance modification in January 29th. A motion as to an advancement of funds, January 29th. And a motion as to the Denali and advancement of funds dated February 28th.
If we need to set an in-person hearing, which is my preference on, when we've got multiple notebooks and so forth, we'll do that. But if there's something that we can get accomplished today, I would like to do so.
Your Honor, if I may.
Go ahead.
In listening to Mr. Olson and in my comments, we may be able to resolve the motions to compel outside of a hearing. I may need court intervention on some objections that Mr. Olson filed, but that should not take long. I think we need an in-person half day to address all of these different matters, Your Honor. I don't know what we can accomplish on the Zoom hearing, except it would be as a discovery, but I think we might be wasting the court's time because I think Mr. Olson and I can figure out 80% on the discovery issues.
Oh, well, I'm fine with moving the discovery issues, Your Honor. We're still here. We've got 50 minutes. We can at least take even if it's the motion to modify spousal maintenance, we are more than capable of dealing with that over Zoom.
I cannot believe the pure audacity that she has to sit there and ask for $9,000 a month. Like, who the fuck does she think she is? Fucking Whitney Houston? Hey, Harry. Like, by the sounds of it, she thinks she's some kind of fucking celebrity or something. Like, why does he owe her $9,000 a month just because she is used to a lifestyle? Well, ma'am, that lifestyle you refer to came with being married to that man in particular. You're not going to have that lifestyle with everyone. He was able to afford you that lifestyle, and now that you aren't together anymore, he doesn't owe you the same lifestyle he gave you when you were together. Like the entitlement of some of these women. You aren't together anymore. He's no longer responsible for your lifestyle preferences. And don't worry. Watch to the end of this. It is worth it.
And handling that this afternoon, so we don't have to continually drag this out and move it to another date, which I'm sure will probably be early to mid-April. Ready to proceed.
Sorry, Matt.
That's okay.
Your Honor, as the motion for spousal maintenance, that's going to involve competing experts. That is not something we're going to be able to do over Zoom, Your Honor. And that also ties in with the motion to compel him for advancement of funds and also the denali, Your Honor. We have issues involving the domestic relations affidavit filed by Ms. Yost, and I think she's going to need to be sworn in to go over her expenses. She claims $4,000 a month, every month for attorney's fees, Your Honor, amongst one of several expenses that are questionable. So this is not something that is appropriate over Zoom.
Give me a second to review. And Angela?
The ex-wife's lawyer is pushing to have the case finalized today because he is trying to be smart about it. But his lawyer is smarter. He is trying to gain more time to investigate, as he has reason to believe that her expenses are not accurate. It's all about getting detailed information about how she's going to spend this money. Since she stated she needs this amount to survive, she will have to prove where the money is going.
I misplaced my docket notes. They're buried on somewhere in here. Do you have the ability to print those out for me, please? Now, the expert witnesses, what motions were those for?
We disclosed we had an income analysis done of Mr. Yost. That was disclosed on January 17th through Jeff Querin. So the only part of the motion that we have dealt with that obviously is the motion to modify spousal maintenance. If the court would recall, initially when we filed this case, we're the petitioner, we had set spousal maintenance at $9,000 a month. And the court actually called me, this would have been through the ex parte temporary order, inquiring as to when the last year of tax returns we would have had available at that time. And that was 2018, which Mr. Yost at that time had made significantly less than what he had made over the last 3 years that we've averaged. So at the time, maintenance has been set based off of an income of Mr. Yost around $338,000, $318,000 or somewhat. And the report we've had from this income analysis that Jeff Querin has done 7 weeks ago has his income average over the last 3 years at $664,000. So again, that's not brand new news. Again, that report was issued and sent to Mr. Thompson within a couple of days, if not on January 17th. So I mean, there's been ample time to respond to that. Frankly, if we're disclosing expert reports by statute, Mr. Thompson would have had to have a responsive expert opinion within 30 days of receiving notice of us issuing. That refuted is on this motion with respect to the spousal maintenance, besides trying to continue to delay this matter. So again, we're ready to proceed. It's all argument. There's not any need besides the domestic relations affidavit, which is a sworn statement. There shouldn't be any need to question anybody on the witness stand. If this can be done through argument.
Your Honor, and I disagree completely. If we review Ms. Yost's domestic relations affidavit, every single expense that she listed, she deems as estimated. Every expense without a single exception.
We all know the only reason she claims to need $9,000 to survive is that she knows how much he makes. She wouldn't need this much.
Ma'am, you do not need $9,000 a month to survive. That is ridiculous. It is ridiculous to me that with no kids, you think you're entitled to $9,000 a month just because you were married and just because you were used to a certain lifestyle. You think you're entitled to 9,000. No, ma'am. And you heard him say, well, that's an estimate. And there's a reason she said estimated, is because it's bullshit. If she needed it and she knew what she needed it for, it wouldn't be estimated. She would know for a fact. She may want $9,000 a month. Fuck, I would like to have $9,000 a month, but she doesn't need it. There's a difference between need and want.
If her ex-husband was an electrician on an average salary. To make it more interesting, all the expenses she presented were in the form of estimation. It's not surprising because it would be hard to justify needing this much. It probably wasn't their monthly expense when they were together, but now she needs it to survive.
As the expert report, if I have a reply to their expert report pursuant to the rules of civil procedure, that's 30 days. I can have an independent expert, separate and apart, Your Honor. I have a demonstrative exhibit, which I anticipate. Let me try to be as succinct as I can. We cannot get this done in 45 minutes. Any one of these motions, Your Honor. Any one. The domestic relations affidavit is riddled with, well, they're all estimates. I'm entitled to inquire of Ms. Yost as to what her actual expenses are, because she has not provided a single solitary actual expense to justify any deviation from the court's order of spousal support. None, Your Honor. Everyone's an estimate. And the court cannot make a determination based on pure estimates by the party requesting a modification of her own spousal support award.
He has a valid point. They want to use random numbers to get the court to grant her more money, and this is not how things work. The good thing is that his lawyer understands the game her lawyer is trying to play, and he is ready for it.
But there's no case law to discuss that, Your Honor. Estimates are commonly used because the DRA has to be filed prior to the time of trial. Usually most pretrial conference orders require one 10 days in advance of trial or 30 days, depending on the court and jurisdiction you're in. At that point in time, it's very common practice to have the exact amounts put in. Otherwise, you put estimates in. That is something I've commonly done in 15 plus years of domestic practice. And frankly, if we're talking about my client's expenses, and we want to get into the analysis on spousal maintenance, it really doesn't matter because need doesn't have to show. Of course, we're talking about need versus ability to pay. Clearly, there's an ability to pay. But when we start talking about need, it doesn't matter if my client is destitute or has to live or needs the exact amount of money she's requesting by spousal maintenance. It is need is a standard of living. Mr. Yost makes $55,000 a month. So it doesn't matter if my client needs $3,000 a month to live off of, or she needs $9,000 for extra expenses and a standard and the quality of life that she's accustomed to. That is still need. And that's what we're dealing with here.
Her lawyer must be a comedian. How come her need is directly related to how much her ex-husband makes? I thought she needed that money because she needed it. But now we know the only reason she wants that amount is because of how much he makes. He is no longer her husband, so she shouldn't be concerned with his income. If she wants to have the same lifestyle she is accustomed to, she either find another wealthy husband or funds it herself. She doesn't get the same standard of life, they are divorced. Behind most strong independent women is usually a child support or alimony payment. That's just greed. You do not need $9,000 a month. Time for her to start acclimating to the lifestyle she can provide for herself. She needs to go to work. Having to pay for the attorney arguing against you is crazy and should not be a thing.
Again, there's been ample time for Mr. Thompson to respond to Dr. Querin's report from January 17th that we provided to him. We are ready to proceed. This has been set on the court's calendar for a number of weeks. We need to get moving on this immediately. There's no reason to have a half day or a day long hearing over motions to modify a temporary order. It's not that complicated.
I'm sorry. And Your Honor, I'm astounded Mr. Olson made the argument that need is not a factor. Need is most certainly a determinative factor as to spousal support. And the court cannot make a decision when not just one or two, every expense is estimated. And it is not for the time of trial. She is asking for a change right now. So the need right now is what we need to determine, not what she may think she needs in a year or two, which I don't even know where she's coming up with these numbers, Your Honor. Most certainly $4,000 a month in attorney's fees for every month. But, Your Honor, we're putting the cart before the horse.
She is spending $4,000 on attorney alone, and it's coming out of his pocket. That's something out of this world. Imagine having to pay someone who is doing his best to take as much as he can from you. For sure, it doesn't feel good. And this is why I think each should pay for their own.
I didn't say a day. I think it can be done in half a day. The court does not have the ability. I don't think the court has the ability to make an informed decision based upon argument when there are all of these issues with the documents that have been submitted. We have over 300 pages of exhibits, Your Honor, for a status conference. That is not status conference material, Your Honor. That's a half day in person, as this court's procedure has been throughout this case and the other cases I've been involved with, Your Honor.
All right, if you all can give me just, I'm going to take a short recess. All right. I understand, Mr. Olson, you're wanting to get this stuff resolved. I want to get cases resolved probably more than you guys do. But this is a status, and this is what we're doing. We figure out, has anything been resolved? What do we need to do? Well, it doesn't sound like anything's been resolved, that we just need to set everything for hearing. But I want to set an afternoon. It'll be an in-person hearing. And we'll take up everything that we can that has not been resolved at this hearing. Any other matters, Mr. Olson, from your perspective, that need to be addressed today?
Yeah, but the court's already told me we're coming back on April 30th, so I understand and appreciate that. Not beyond that, Your Honor. No, sir.
All right, and Mr. Thompson?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
That was a good decision. His lawyer was able to postpone the judgment, and now he has more time to investigate the claims she is making about her expenses. But her lawyer isn't happy with this outcome. Why do you need the same standard after divorce? Imagine if your job had to keep paying you if you walked out because that's what you were accustomed to. Everyone would find that ridiculous. Quality of life is not a need. Basic necessities are. Nothing more. She got accustomed to that while she was married. The ex is no longer required to provide her that level of living. It's a benefit of being married. When you divorce, the only support should be for child support. That's more than I make working 72 hours a week to support my family. The lawyer is like, she needs this money to pay me. He makes what? Baby. That would have been my man for life. We would have went to marriage counseling, even if we still divorced. We would have still been cool. I have seen many comments, mostly from women, stating that since he makes $55,000 per month, he shouldn't have any issues giving her $9,000. They even consider her demands to be generous. But the point they are missing is that she is no longer his wife. You can't leave someone and expect to take their lifestyle with you. He doesn't have to keep her standard of living. This is something she will have to sort out between herself and her future husband. It's not her ex's duty to provide the life she is accustomed to. This is something she could benefit from while being his wife. So, since the relationship ended, everything else went with it. Now it's time to start accepting that things have changed, and going forward, she will be in charge of her lifestyle. Trying to rely on him endlessly isn't a good strategy, especially when divorce became part of the conversation. She needs to adjust her lifestyle according to her new reality, just like everybody else. And in my opinion, finding a job is a good start.
Guys not making a move anymore is so frustrating, because the amount of times that I've heard so-and-so has liked you before, like at this time. Didn't know if you felt the same way, so he never said anything to you. I've been getting that a lot recently, and I can't stop thinking, what if, bro? So guys, can you make a move again? Can we stop being afraid and just make a gesture? I'm never gonna make a move.
Because we run the risk of making the woman uncomfortable, and that's something we don't want to do. Nope. If you see a guy you like, you approach him. Go after what you want. That's not our job anymore. The guy is going to approach you, and if you're not interested, 100% coming to tell your followers. I have a big fear of rejection, and an even bigger fear of making her uncomfortable. Making the first move is not an option. It's not fear, it's self-preservation. Better to just be friends. I make the first move, but honestly, nothing wrong with you making a move too. Most of us wouldn't mind approaching, but due to a few episodes, it seems like the best move would be to step back a bit and let things flow. Now it's getting to the point where some women already realized unless they make a move, things won't happen. So at some point, the young woman who made this video will have to do the same thing if she wants to increase the chance to have an opportunity with the guy she likes. Waiting or sending some choosing signal alone won't do it anymore because no guy wants to be in a position where he gets a modern rejection just because he misunderstood the signal. Therefore, making the move will be their best option as it would fix most issues when it comes to this matter.
Well, I'm fucked either way. I'm not making no moves. And I don't know. I'm pretty happy as I am. So it would take a massive, I don't know, something to change that. That makes the first move. I don't understand that. That's a little sexist if you ask me. Like, why do you expect a man to do all the work? My dog is snoring. All right, so the next case is where this girl gets busted lying to the judge. As we all know, that always ends well.
Modify the designation of the permanent uh, primary residential parent, nor the decision making. And I did file just, I believe, yesterday, a revised proposed parenting plan because there was an error in our first proposed parenting plan. We did not mean to request to change the decision making of the parties. And so I would just like to begin, Judge, by saying that the parties here is in no way similar to the first parties. The parties are
What
actually
you're saying is that the situation here is not like the last one?
not there's no animosity much in the parties here. I actually commend the parties because they really work together. Just looking at their text messaging, that's how they communicate primarily. There are some instances, very isolated instances, where my client had sent a not so good message to the parent, Mrs. Maples, but those are isolated, and I would say or submit to the court that within the past year or within even this year, they have been managing their co-parenting really well, to the point of even through the litigation, they have managed to agree on the Memorial Day weekend residential schedule and things of that nature. And so what we're want to bring to the court's attention is that there has been a material change in circumstances for the purpose of changing the residential schedule. Just among other things, majorly, my client is now working only 4 days a week instead of the 5 days a week. So that enabled him to spend more time, and he had made a conscious decision in the past 2 years to spend more.
This is not the right case. Give me 2 seconds. This is another good one, but it's not the one I was looking for in particular. I'm looking for the one where she gets called out in court for being a lying liar who lies. Here we go. Found it. Come on. You can do it. Oh.
Whatsoever. No, ma'am, who is currently using drugs?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay. And during your parenting time, have your minor children ever been harmed?
No, ma'am.
Bear with me 1 second, Your Honor. And Ms. Valdez, can you tell the court what your gross monthly income looks like?
It varies, but on average, I would say modestly, we're looking at $5,000 to $5,500.
And what does that, where does that income come from?
My first business I own is DeValley Commercial Cleaning Service, and that grosses about $2,000 a month. And then the second business that I co-own with my husband is Giggles and Glam Kids Salon. And the profits on that fluctuate month to month, but on average, about $3,500 a month.
Thank you. And what can you tell me about your husband's income?
He is on salary, and so he has a fixed monthly income. And up until 3 to 6 months ago, he was also acquiring bi-yearly, so twice a year bonuses. But I believe that his employer has removed those.
Thank you. And Ms. Valdez, do you think that it is in the best interest of your minor children to maximize their time with both parents?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
And so are you asking the court to adopt the temporary parenting plan we have submitted that shows 50-50?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
All right, Your Honor, I have nothing further as far as the temporary parenting plan goes.
Well, you wish to, are there any other issues that you want to address, or you want to wait and address any of those issues that Mr. Holly is raising? You also had, I believe, a motion for the extension of the injunction. You want to address that with her now?
Yes, Your Honor, that'd be great. Ms. Valdez, we filed a motion for a ex parte restraining order. To your knowledge, has that restraining order been served on your husband?
Yes, ma'am, it has.
And what did that restraining order tell him to do?
It told him to return the $10,000 that he, to me, unknowingly withdrew from our business account. And I believe that was it, correct?
Has he put the full amount of the funds as ordered by the court back into that account?
No, ma'am. He has returned half, 5,000, but he has yet to return the other 5,000.
And have there been any consequences of him not returning the other 5,000?
Yes, I was not able to pay my employees or my payroll taxes until I was able to secure a $5,000 loan from a family member.
Thank you. And has your husband, you stated earlier your husband was a co-owner of Giggles and Clams with you. What has his extent been in business involvement?
He has come 3 times to the store to bring me iced coffee. He is not involved. He does not know how to run payroll, schedule, order product. He doesn't even know the code to the back door to get into the store. I run that business solely.
So when is it status quo for him to make a $10,000 withdrawal from that business account?
Absolutely not. He makes 1 withdrawal a month prior to our separation, and that was at my discretion after I run our profit and loss statement by the 5th of every month for the prior month. And I would tell him via text, this is the amount of money you are approved to withdraw from this business account. This is our profit from the prior month.
And do you have any history of not paying your employees?
No, ma'am, and every single one of my employees can attest to that.
Do you have any history of misappropriating any business funds?
Which we've discussed. There was a hotel room that I used my business credit card for because I did not have my personal credit card at the time. But my associate, Chris Draper, has paid $50 back into the business account for that, splitting the hotel room costs. And I'm more than willing to pay the other $50 in restitution.
Can you tell the court what approximately that amount was?
It was $105 to La Quinta Inn, I believe.
And are you capable of putting that money back?
Yes,
into the
ma'am.
account?
I can do it today.
Are you willing to provide your husband with an accounting of business expenditures going forward?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay. And are you asking the court that this mandatory injunction and restraining order stay in effect so that you can properly operate your business?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Holly.
Ms. Valdez. You're talking about you left for your own safety from the marital residence. You're having an affair, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you admitted to having the affair to Mr. Valdez after it happened. Is that yeah, you have to say yes or no to the court reporter, okay? And before that, this summer, you guys were husband and wife. You took a trip or two, day trip with the kids, did the husband and wife thing. That
regular family things, yes, sir.
Yeah. When you left the house, you said that he gave you an hour to get out, and then you left for your own safety.
Yes, sir.
And you returned
Sunday.
The next day, right?
2 days later.
2 days later, and you stayed at the house for a week.
After I served him those divorce papers, I said, I'm willing to cohabitate with you while we function through the separation and divorce.
And it wasn't an issue of your safety at that point then, was it?
I left a week later because I did not feel safe anymore because of his volatile emotional state.
When you left that night, you said you left for your own safety. When you initially left, said you had an hour, to get out and all that. Where'd you go that night?
I got a hotel room in Gallatin, Tennessee.
In Gallatin, and you stayed there with your boyfriend?
Yes, he met me there.
Yeah.
And that's when we consummated our relationship, was that night.
I'm sorry?
That's when we consummated our relationship, was that night.
Okay, so you had sexual relations with him that night,
Yes, sir.
and that weekend, and came back to Mr. Valdez on Sunday, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the name of the person you're having an affair with is whom?
Christopher Draper.
Christopher Draper. And how did you meet Mr. Draper?
I met him through Facebook Marketplace when I was selling a salon chair from Giggles and Glam.
Okay. And
That was July 17th.
you talked about, going to the motel room with Mr. Draper. How did you pay for that?
I paid for that with my own personal Kroger credit card.
Okay, and you didn't put that on the business card?
No, sir, I did not.
And you're sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he actually paid you back for half of it, correct?
The hotel that you're referring to, you're mistaken. It was for a later date for La Quinta Inn, not the hotel that was from that Friday night.
I'm sorry, I got confused. So La Quinta Inn, then you stayed there with your boyfriend and you put that on the business credit card, correct?
Yes, because I left my personal credit card at home mistakenly.
Mm. And then your boyfriend paid you back for half of it, correct?
Half of it, yes.
But in your half of it, well, let me back up a minute. Giggles and Glam is a jointly owned business between you and Mr. Valdez, correct?
Yes, it is on paper.
Yeah, well, it is, correct?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
All right. And he helped start the business. Y'all used some of the funds of the marriage to help get the business started, like most folks that start a business.
You are mistaken when it comes to he helped start the business. I vetted this business. They were a personal client of mine. I did all the legwork, paperwork, legal work, and red tape work to acquire this business. And he can attest to that through various Facebook posts that he has made about me a year ago.
Is there any marital funds that went into the business initially?
There was a small amount of savings that went into a down payment.
Right. So it's fair to say then, at least your half of the motel room that night was part of Mr. Valdez's part of the business when you used that card, correct?
Yes,
And he paid for you to go ahead with your boyfriend and your affair.
amounting to around $52. Yes, sir.
So how long have you been seeing Mr. Draper?
I
and you took the money out of your marital business account to go sleep with your boyfriend that you had an affair on your husband with. That's the point they're making. Because you're too fucking dumb to get it without somebody blatantly telling you. Like, why she doesn't, I don't know how she doesn't get that or why that's wrong. I would be pissed too if I was the husband and she took money out of our joint account to pay for her boyfriend's liaison. No, I mean, would you, like Harry, if your wife took money out of your joint business account, would you not be pissed? I'd be pissed.
I have been in communication with him since July 17th, and we consummated our relationship and made it official the night that I left my residence. And I believe that was August 5th, but I'd have to clarify that.
Yeah. And Mr. Valdez is going to testify that out of 33 days, I believe it was when I added it up, I didn't add in this last week. We'll get to it. But from like August the 12th, I believe is about when you left. Is that pretty close?
Left to go get a rental home, you're saying?
No,
Or
left
the
for
night
marriage.
he kicked me out?
Yeah, that night that you left. When was that?
I would have to check back through my text messages because I was texting some personal friends about what was going on and how unsafe I felt to confirm that date.
Okay, well, from August 12th to basically this September 18th date that we've got here, he's going to testify that 26 of those 33 days.
Unsafe because you had an affair on him, correct? You're completely deflecting from what you did and saying, I felt unsafe, but you're not touching base on what you did to get him upset, ma'am. What bothers me is the fact that she's sitting there trying to play the victim when she caused it because she couldn't keep her fucking legs closed. She sat there and had an affair on him via the business they started together and is blaming him for being upset about it. Like the audacity on this one, I swear to God. And she just lied again because she first said she left because she felt unsafe. Then she said she left because he kicked her out. Which is it? Did you leave because you felt unsafe or did you leave because he kicked you out? Make up your mind.
The kids were with him. Is that accurate?
The kids were with him for a substantial amount of time in the beginning because I was setting up the home. I had to buy furniture. I did not want to traumatize the children by bringing them into a new home, separated from their father prematurely. But since I have set up a safe, clean, and capable home, the kids have been with me on a regular basis.
How long has that been? Sorry, I'm trying to connect something.
How long has it been since I moved in?
How long has it been since you've been in a safe and stable home?
Since I moved in, I believe August 18th is when I signed the lease and moved in.
Well, that doesn't track with what Mr. Valdez is going to say, and I'm asking you if this is accurate. He's going to testify from this August 12th to around the September 18th date, which is about 33 days, that the kids were with him 26 of those 33 days.
I believe that is grossly inaccurate. The kids were not with me initially after I moved out to go get my rental property at 318 Maple Street for probably the first 10 to 14 days because I needed to furnish it. I needed to get everything prepared so it was a comfortable environment for them. What he's also failing to disclose is that I came over to the residence every day to cook, clean, and prepare a home for him and the children to provide the children a sense of normalcy. That is what he's failing to disclose. And I would leave in the evening time to go back to my home.
Okay. How did the kids take the separation and you taking them off to your place?
The kids personally, once they arrived at my residence, were elated. We had toys that my mother had purchased for them there. There were new beds, new furniture, new clothes, food that they normally were not allowed to eat at my ex-husband's house. They were elated to be there. In fact, that night I have it on video, them dancing around to music about how excited they were.
I want to show you a video and ask you if you recognize this video coming from your doorbell.
It's gonna be Daddy, I don't want to be like this. It's gonna be okay. No, Daddy, I don't want to be like this. No, no.
That doesn't sound very elated to me. Do you know what elated means, ma'am? Elated is excited, happy, you know. That does not sound happy to me. That sounds like you wrecked your marital home and destroyed your children's life over a piece of ass that you're probably not going to stay with like maybe a year max. Because if they cheat with you, ma'am, they will cheat on you. You are not special. And in the back of your little boyfriend's mind, he probably wonders if you're cheating on him because you cheated with him. So he's not going to trust you from the jump because you wrecked your entire family over a piece of dick. Pardon my phrasing, but it is what it is. She wrecked her entire family over a piece of dick. Sorry, not worth it. Buy a vibrator.
So is it fair to say that your son was taking that kind of rough?
Yes, I need to provide some context to that video.
Well, that's a yes or no question. It's fair to say.
Yes, he was taking it very rough.
Your boyfriend, he works at your business now, correct? You've given him a job.
Yes, sir. He's a master barber at the salon.
He's a master barber at the salon. And has that caused any conflicts with your employees at all?
It had not my affair with him, but him being employed there has caused issues with 2 employees that are no longer employed there. They had personal grievances to his personality. But before we go into that, I would like to shed some context onto that video.
Well, you have an opportunity to do that with your lawyer. Now, with your current employees, though, fair to say they quit, you fired.
One was terminated, one quit.
Christopher Draper, correct?
Because their one was terminated, not because of Christopher Draper. One quit because of their personal grievances with personality with Christopher Draper.
Was it personality, or was it the fact that you guys are, basically fooling around in the office and they don't like seeing that?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever fooled around at the office, in this business, your joint business? Have you ever fooled around at the office with Mr. Draper?
No, sir, I have not.
I'll show you, there's 2 videos here, and I want to ask you if you recognize this. No sound. Now, is this your back storage room at the office?
Yes, it is.
And that's Mr. Draper, I take it?
Yes, it is.
And he's here today, correct?
Yes, he is.
I'm going to ask you if you recognize this video as well. That's your back storage room and you and Mr. Draper.
Yes, that's correct.
But you're out of sight of your employees, so.
Well, ma'am, I don't know what your definition of fooling around is, but I would definitely say that probably qualifies. Wouldn't you say? That probably would probably would qualify as fooling around if you're banging in the back room. That's like 4 lies she's been caught in on the stand. Like, oh, it gets worse. It gets much worse.
So they're not seeing any of this, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
This is how technically he should be out there cutting hair, correct?
He was in between appointments, Your Honor.
No. Now, who is this coming in here to say? phone call?
Marissa Wallace, she's one of my receptionists.
Okay.
I would hardly call that fooling around.
Ma'am, we saw the way that man was grabbing up your thighs.
So what we've displayed here today, you would not technically call fooling around.
The hug that my employee witnessed, I would not call fooling around. The kissing from the prior video, yes, I guess you could technically label that as fooling around.
Well, it's fair to say you recognize 2 of your employees here today, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right. And if they testified they actually saw this and other things, would you deny that?
I know who was on shift that particular day, and Jessica was not on shift, and Kennedy was in the middle of an appointment. So I don't see how they could have witnessed anything in that video besides Marissa Wallace, who was the receptionist that came in.
Do you think your employees talk about everything that goes on there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, they do.
Okay. So we've talked about you spending money for your boyfriend at the motel, the business funds for your boyfriend at the motel. Have you spent any other business funds with your boyfriend?
There was one purchase as a gag gift for our joint friend for his birthday, which Christopher Draper has paid back in full to me, to the business account. I use the business account because it is tied to an Amazon account. And that was for a gag gift, which is called a pocket pussy. But it was a gag gift. It was not for our quote unquote illicit affair. And Christopher Draper has paid that back in full within 12 hours of the purchase.
Well, if I may ask, how many of these pocket peas have you given to your other employees as a gag gift?
It was, you misunderstand, you misheard. It was not to an employee. It was to a mutual friend for his birthday as a gag gift.
All right. What about, is there anything else? You see the banner up there. Did you buy him a banner?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so now we've got this. What did you buy with him for your business funds here from Fast Signs?
It is for the barbershop he is starting called Drip Fades.
Okay, and this is a picture of the banner that you got, correct?
Yes, sir.
Drip Fades, Love is King. This is still a child barbershop type thing, or is it?
No, well, he does service children, but this is an adult salon, an adult barbershop.
All right.
You may want to rephrase the way you just said that. Because when you say he does service children, it does not hit the ear right. So could we maybe rephrase that? I don't know. It just doesn't hear. That doesn't sound right, ma'am. It doesn't sound right at all. You may want to rephrase that. He does provide haircuts for children. Would be a better way to say that.
And you're helping him get started with that?
Yes, I am.
And you're using your business funds of Mr. Valdez apparently to do that?
No, I believe I purchased this with my personal credit card.
Okay, I'll let Mr. Valdez show that. Do you believe or are you certain?
I believe.
So you're not certain?
Well, quite frankly, you have me second guessing myself based off the amount of evidence that you're bringing up on the screen.
Well, I understand that does have a tendency to make people second guess themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Why would that make you second guess yourself?
I think it's natural to be a little bit nervous when being attacked.
Because you're a liar? Yes. You would only second guess yourself if you were not being honest. Because if you had full faith in what it was you were saying, you'd be sure, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you be certain? If you weren't such a contemptuous, lying sack of shit. I don't second guess myself. I know exactly what the fuck I'm saying when I'm saying it. It's one of the joys of not being a contemptuous sack of shit. The reason she's saying she's second guessing herself is because the past couple of times she's told a lie, he's brought up video evidence that she was lying. Yes, is a felon, not was. You picked a piece of dick that probably had pieces of dick. Good job. And you wrecked your entire family over a little piece of dick. Jailhouse dick, to be exact. I would seriously question your judgment. To be quite frank. I've only been with one person that was a criminal, and I didn't know they were a criminal until years after we were together because they kept it from me. They kept a lot from me, in fact. Some of which I didn't find out until here recently. But you could not pay me to be with that person again. Yeah, I don't do criminals. Nope. Certainly wouldn't have wrecked my family and destroyed the kids' lives over a little piece of dick. Oh no, I'm very open about that. And the fucked up part about it is when I met the guy, he didn't tell me. And when he did finally tell me, he lied to me. And I didn't figure that out until we went to court recently. That he literally, the entire time I've known him, he's never been honest with me. Not once. Not even about what he was criminally charged with. He told me a completely different story. And the guy was bad about fucking forging documents. I didn't know that either until court. And he got caught doing that. And caught an extra charge for it, as a matter of fact. So, people can fool you. They really can. And what's sad about all that is I believed him. And that was stupid. But she openly knew, like, going into the affair. That shit was hidden from me for years. And by the time I found out, it was too late because I was already pregnant. There's a lot people don't know. I dealt with a lot of really fucked up things that I've still yet to this day not to talk about, and I probably never will. Some people are fucking monsters, though. They have a really good mask. I've got to hand it to him on that. He had a really good mask, or maybe I only saw what I wanted to see. I don't know. All I know is the person that I ended up seeing at the end of all of this was not the person I thought I knew. And I'm being very careful with my wording there and placing emphasis on the person I thought I knew. I don't know who that person is. And I guess that's aftershock in a direct result of dealing with a narcissistic sociopath. Some narcissists have a really good mask and they can fool everyone but themselves. I'm still coping with that, or trying to. They don't really ever talk about the devastation part of that. How devastating it is to find out that the person you've spent years around turning out to be a monster and gaslighting you and manipulating you and lying to you at every turn. Everything that man said was a lie. Everything. Right down to his fucking education. Come to find out, like, all this money that I was putting out so that he could go to college and pay the bills, he wasn't spending it on the bills. And he wasn't going to college. All these jobs he said he was taking, he wasn't working. His mother was paying his bills. Literally. For a college he wasn't attending. Like, he lied about everything. That's not even the surface, Harry. That's not even like the tip of the iceberg. That's not even a third of it. And yes, I'm devastated, and some people may think that's funny. It's not funny. Because I'm not the only one devastated. But it was all a lie. All of it. A facade, a mask. And, like, it's scary that some people can be so good at putting on a mask. It's fucking bizarre. Like, I think everybody. It's fucked up. It really is. It's fucked up, and I don't understand how you can go through life wearing a mask and not even being yourself with yourself. It's weird. Like, how can you hate yourself so much? I don't know. A part of me thinks that people like that at some level gotta hate themselves, because you can't love yourself and be that fucking fake. I can't put my finger on it. And I've tried to figure it out. I went over and over and over in my head trying to figure it out, whether it was he really either loved himself a lot and like had this skewed view on who he was and really believed his own delusional bullshit, or he hated himself and his life so much that he felt the need to put on all of these masks and facades. I don't know. I probably will never know. I don't know that any of us ever will. I don't know that I care to anymore. I don't have to. I don't have to understand. I don't have to know. That person is no longer a part of my life and never will be again. Um, it's just one of those things I try to figure out so that that never happens to me again. And that's really all you can hope for. He's not my problem. He's his mama's problem, and not even she is helping him anymore. He is on his own. He is fucking nearly 60 years old. Still acting like that. About to face his what, fourth charge in the last couple of months. Like I could no, I'm good. I'm good. We're all good without him. He can sit his ass in prison where he's going, and he can stay there, because clearly that is the only place he is fit to stay, is in fucking prison. And that's where he needs to be. Prison. Maybe he can meet a nice Bubba in there and they can fucking peg until the cows come home. Just stay the fuck away from me. That is, as long as he stays the fuck away from me, I'm happy. I don't think he's gonna be anywhere near any of us for several years. I think it's a minimum, last I checked, on just one of the occurrences. I believe it's like 10 years minimum. Um, But then again, they did get arrested 4 more fucking times. So whatever charges incurred after that can obviously be tacked on. And I hope they are. I hope they tack everything they can. He deserves it.
And my personal information that I have no idea how Vince has come upon unless he's hacking my computer or my emails.
So
of course, it makes me a little bit
it's
nervous.
okay to lie as long as you don't get caught. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir.
Ma'am, nobody's hacking your emails to get video footage from your joint business. That was your business that you owned with your husband that you had an affair on with a little piece of dick from prison. And that's another thing that pisses me off. If I knew that that person had been incarcerated when I first met them, yet no. Mm-mm. Nope. But anyway, this woman had an affair on her husband that she had kids with a little piece of dick. And it wrecked her entire family. And he can't even pay for a half of a hotel room. Like, if you're going to leave your husband over a little piece of dick, at least let that little piece of dick have some money. At least upgrade, not downgrade. But then again, a decent man isn't going to run around with a married woman. I don't think a decent man would have a woman that was still happily married with a whole ass family at home. I swear to God, some people, I'm sorry for saying this, but some people will do anything for a little piece of dick. Like, she had some at home, but she clearly wasn't servicing that one. So she got to go get strange dick. It fucked up everything, basically. And then she's like, oh, they hacked my email and got the footage of the back room of my co-owned with my husband business. No, ma'am. That footage came from your co-owned business that you co-owned with your husband that he also had access to on your security cameras. That's not somebody hacking your email. That's called, he just pulled surveillance from both of your businesses. And you did it right on camera and then lied in court and said you didn't fool around at your business. And 2 separate videos came up on the screen where you're fooling around at your co-owned business. No, he owned half of the business, Harry. That's the fucking point. She used the business account to shack up with her little piece of dick. And she also used that same business that they owned together to fool around with her little piece of dick at the business that they owned together, where there were cameras and surveillance all throughout the building. And she thought, oh, I couldn't possibly get caught. They couldn't possibly pull the tapes. And then she lied on the stand, and he rolled the camera footage of her doing exactly what she lied on the stand about doing. And she was like, I'm second guessing myself. Of course you are, because you're lying. You've got caught twice, back to back. And bitch, I know you're used to laying on your back, but getting caught back to back is not a good thing. Maybe spread out your bullshit just a little bit. Then you wouldn't have to second guess yourself. Look at the judge's face. I would like to point out. The body language of this judge here. He's already sick of her shit, and he ain't been listening to her 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And he's already sick of her shit. Can you imagine living with this wildebeest? Like, I'm sick of her, and it's been 20 minutes, and it's just like I kind of want to boop her in the face. And then at the end of this, she blames her husband for her affair coming out on YouTube when this entire court proceeding was live streamed on YouTube. And they tell you that. And she's mad because she receives criticism for the affair she openly had. And it's suddenly her ex-husband's fault because people are criticizing her and how many views the videos got. Like, come on, Karen.
That's not what I'm saying.
Have you referred business to Mr. Valdez? I mean, have you referred business to Mr. Draper? I'm sorry.
If we could not take in clients, yes, I have referred them to what I call our associate barber, as he has referred business to me.
So as far as the making out and the business funds being spent on Mr. Draper, do you think that's good for the business that you and Mr. Valdez had?
I think as long as it does not damage the clients, the employees, or the revenue of the business, I think that it is irrelevant if I kiss my boyfriend in the back room.
Okay. Well, you understand you got two employees here that are no longer your employees, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they're going to testify it wasn't a problem.
It's not irrelevant when you lie about it, Karen. It's not irrelevant when the things they're asking you completely contributed to the downfall of your marriage. And the fact that the business you're fooling around in is co-owned by the husband you had the affair on. So maybe you shouldn't be kissing your affair in the business you co-own with your husband that you had the affair on. Maybe that shows a lack of consideration and emotional maturity and moral compass for you. But then again, you getting caught in 3 lies back to back on the stand within 5 minutes kind of already showed that. So
You understand that?
Yes, sir, I do. I also have double the amount of.
I love how arrogant also. I love how arrogant and snarky she is about the fact that she was wrong and how disgusting her behavior has been. She still doesn't think she did anything wrong. classic narcissist. You can show them on camera that they were wrong, and they will still find a way that they're right. She is so fucking conceited and arrogant and smug that she still doesn't think she did anything wrong. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that, spoiler alert, this court proceeding does not end well for her. Because she tells her ex-husband that she doesn't give a damn about the court order because no judge is going to lock up a mother, and she doesn't give a damn if she's in contempt of court, that no judge would ever lock up a mother. He has her own video saying that. So basically, he has her own video spitting in that judge's face, telling that judge that he can't do shit to her. And I beg to differ. He can, and he will, and he's going to. And I loved it. I loved it so much.
Employees that will attest that it's not a problem for Christopher Draper to be there.
Did you go on a trip with your boyfriend this last week?
Yes, sir, I did.
Where'd y'all go?
We went to Morgantown, North Carolina, as I was running a 18K.
How long did y'all stay there?
We were there about 48 hours.
Okay. How did you pay for that?
With my personal credit card.
How are you going to pay that off?
From my own personal income.
From Giggles and Glam?
Giggles and Glam and Valley Cleaning Service, yes, sir.
All right. So in a roundabout way, Mr. Valdez is paying for your trip with your boyfriend.
In a roundabout way, I guess you could say that he is.
All right. So you've taken other trips with your boyfriend, quite a few, correct?
Trip I can think of was, no, we have not taken any long trips. We've driven within an hour of my residence to go hiking or to go camping, but I wouldn't call those trips necessarily.
You do that rather frequently. How many of those have you taken?
We went hiking for 3 hours. It was a day trip. We left at 10 a.m. We were back home by 3 or 4 p.m. That was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And then on a Thursday night, I believe, September 7th, we went on a 18-hour camping trip to a state park in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Okay. And all these times and others are going to be the times that, would you agree with me, Mr. Valdez is going to say that you asked him to keep the kids?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. So you'd rather be with your boyfriend than be with your children?
The hiking trip was when the kids were in school, and
But he kept them. He kept them at night and did that kind of thing, correct?
So the hiking trip that we took, that was 4 or 5 weeks ago, if I remember correctly, the residence that I had rented was not prepared yet for the kids.
Based on your recent complications with your memory, I don't know that I would entirely depend on your memory. Like, according to your memory, you didn't fool around in your co-owned business. So I think it's safe to say that your memory isn't all that reliable. It's not a credible source, ma'am.
So the kids, yes, were in his care. And then the 18-hour camping trip we went on was September 7th. That was a Thursday, and that was technically one of the nights that the kids were scheduled to be with Vince.
As you talked about, your alleging it's been like a 4-3, 3-4 type relationship. Mr. Valdez is going to say differently. I told you that.
Can you explain what you mean, a 3-4? What was that?
Well, I thought you were talking about, it was your testimony. I thought if I missed it, you're talking about 4 days with one, 3 days with the other. The next week it's 4 days with the one that got 3 days, and then kind of rotate that. That's what you were testifying to, correct?
Yeah, that's what we have had planned, but it
What
has
you had
fluctuated week to week. That's what I've said.
Fluctuated quite a bit, correct?
Yes, that's
Why
true.
not take these trips on the time that it's not your time with the children? I mean, why don't you arrange?
Because
a trip with
I
your
work
boyfriend
evenings
at least
with the
during
Valley
day?
Cleaning Service, and Vincent has expressed interest that he wants the kids with him as much as possible because he does not think they're safe in my care. And I
If you're
work
leaving the
evening.
kids- If you're leaving the kids with him like that, do you think they're safe in your care?
Of course, they're safe in my care.
And
Of
your
course they are.
boyfriend's a convicted felon, correct?
Oh my God.
Yes, he is a felon.
And I've looked at his record. I mean, there's thefts and charges and things like that, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And quite a checkered past of felonies and rehabs, correct?
Yes, sir, you're correct.
Can you understand why Mr. Valdez would have concerns about the kids being around your boyfriend?
Naively, yes.
Have you given Mr. Valdez any other significant have you given Mr. Draper any other significant monies?
Personal funds, yes.
Okay. And how much and what for?
So with the commute back and forth with our relationship, he failed to qualify for a personal loan for a motorcycle. And so out of a personal credit card, I funded him roughly $3,500, which he's making monthly payments to me personally for that motorcycle, just so he doesn't have to.
So basically, you're paying him to be your boyfriend. You bought your boyfriend a motorcycle. Wouldn't, if commute was an issue, wouldn't you get them a car? One might accuse you of being his sugar mama, not his girlfriend. Because you seem to be buying this boyfriend an awful lot of crap with your community finances shared with your husband. And I don't think that's right.
And money on gas quite as much to come see me and to travel to and
you can't go see your kids, and you can't spend time with your kids, and you can't pay child support or pay tuition or pay for any of their needs, but you can buy your boyfriend a motorcycle. I find that interesting.
you know what I'm trying to say, to and from work.
Not living with you?
He does stay at my residence from time to time. Yes, sir.
I've got Facebook posts where he called it home.
Yes, he sees it as home, very much so.
He's living with you.
Yes, he is living with me.
All right. So what kind of motorcycle did he get with your funds?
I believe it was a Kawasaki.
So I want to show you a couple of PayPals and ask you if you recognize this. Well, you said yourself, Christopher Wilden, at this point. That he goes by a couple of different names, correct?
His legal name is Wilden, yes, sir. But he goes by Christopher Draper.
All right. So, Mr. Wilden, you sent him $1,250 here. Is that correct?
There were 3 or 4 different payments on PayPal for my own personal money.
I'm going to take them one by one. So this was $1,250 you sent to Mr. Wilden, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was on September 13th. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
That was after you left.
Yes, sir.
And for the record, can you read what your note was?
It says, "I love you so much."
And your testimony is that was for a motorcycle.
Yes, it was.
And here's where you sent $1,000 to your boyfriend, Mr. Wilden, the same day. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And what's your message there for him?
Vroom, vroom.
And that's for the motorcycle, correct?
Yes, sir.
And here's another $1,000 for the same day. And what did you put in the notation for it?
Round 2.
And again, this was money you sent to Christopher Wilden.
For the motorcycle.
And then here's a Venmo where you paid $500 the day before, September 12th. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. That was the deposit for the motorcycle.
For the motorcycle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much was the motorcycle?
I believe it was $3,750.
Okay. You pretty well paid for the whole motorcycle, didn't you?
He's making monthly payments to me to pay me back.
Is this why you need that $10,000 to make sure you got plenty of money for your boyfriend and all of that?
No, sir.
That $5,000 that you got back from the business.
She used the $5,000 she demanded back from her husband and bought him that fucking motorcycle. And she has the audacity to ask the court to force her ex-husband to pay back $10,000 into her account. My guess is she can't afford to keep up with her boyfriend. She's basically paying for her boyfriend.
Just initially. Is your testimony that none of that money would be traced to this?
None of that will be traced to this.
Where'd you come up with the $3,750 then?
This was a PayPal credit card that I qualified for about 5 weeks back, totaling, I believe it was $6,700.
Here's where you're paying him $20 for a referral.
He's paying me $20 for a referral. Any client that we could not take into Giggles, meaning we were too booked, instead of them going to Great Clips, Sports Clips, or something like that, I would refer them to Christopher Draper, and he would send me a referral reward from his own personal money as a thank you. He has also sent me a handful of clients as well.
Why did you not have time to give someone a haircut on August the 26th then?
Because we were fully booked, sir.
He paid you $45, and this is noted as what?
Payback for the hotel. That's the hotel in question, the La Quinta Inn.
Half of it.
Roughly, yes. It was $89 plus tax.
And he paid you $20 here, and that was for?
The gag gift. And then he also, you'll see further down, if you have it on record, provided by Vincent Valdez, another $20 that he paid me.
And this was a gag gift, you said, for him?
Yes, to our friend Noel. He had just gotten dumped by his girlfriend and was lonely, and we thought it'd be hilarious to get him his toy.
How much was the toy?
$39.99 on Amazon plus tax.
You paid him $89.75, and that's for him working on a Sunday, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we already went over this. To your knowledge, what is his criminal history?
It is varied. There is a lot of petty stuff on record for him in Indiana and Tennessee. He does have a felonious charge that he served time for what I believe was identity theft. He, at the time of his incarceration, was granted the privilege of going into court, which is very rare, where he got clean from his addiction. He has now been clean for 5 years and has been released from jail, I want to say 3 years now, 3.5 years he's been out.
What petty stuff then? Let me ask you that. What's the petty stuff on his record that you know of?
I mean, the last time I looked at it was 8 weeks ago when I ran a background check after we first met. I mean, it's everything from, goodness, forgive me, I don't know the right legal wordage for it. When you talk back to an officer, when you're not cooperating with them, speeding tickets. I believe there was also a past due license he was driving with. There's also petty theft, little things like that.
Well, I know you call them little things, but you know,
They're not felonious, so let's clarify. There was one felony charge on him.
Okay. You call them little things. Mr. Valdez is very concerned about his children being around this character. You understand that part?
I do understand
And you
that.
have your children around him, correct? He's met your children.
He has met my 2-year-old Sage after I take Sage to the therapy appointments that I have to do.
And that's the only one that he's been around?
Yes, sir. For no more than 5 minutes at a time.
You have plans to let him be around your children though, correct?
In the future, yes, I do.
Do you drink? All right. And you've had drinks with him, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wilden being him.
Wilden. Yes,
Wilden,
sir.
yes. With Mr. Wilden.
We drink in the evenings anytime we're together to relax and unwind like any adult would.
Okay. And you talk about that's every evening y'all are together? That's what I'm hearing?
About 6 nights a week, yes, sir, we're together.
Okay. And how much do you drink every night?
Personally, for me, I probably have 2 Coronas or 2 glasses of Chardonnay.
How many does he have?
He probably has 2 or 3 Coronas.
All right. Well, I mean, you understand somebody's been in rehab that's got a drug addiction shouldn't be enticing themselves with alcohol.
I believe that NA does follow those guidelines, yes, of complete 100% sobriety.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your answer to that?
I said, I do believe that NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous, does adhere to the philosophy that someone in recovery should adhere to 100% sobriety.
Should what?
Adhere to 100% sobriety.
Okay. And he's not been doing that if he's drinking alcohol, correct?
Factually, yes, that's true.
And again, you think that's okay to have around the children at some point?
I think that alcohol is okay to have around children. I fail to see the point you're trying to make. The philosophy that NA holds is one of a personal choice. It is not mandated.
I want to show you some Facebook posts here on the screen and ask you, first of all, do you recognize this as one of your Facebook posts?
Yes, sir.
And that's you and Mr. Wilden, correct?
Yes, sir.
What does lock and key mean?
It's our pet names for each other. I'm the lock, he's the key, meaning that we are soulmates.
So Mr. Draper puts on here, that's Mr. Wilden as well, correct?
Wilden, yes, sir.
Sorry. And you can steal $10,000, but you can't steal joy. And he tags you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's talking about this $10,000, right?
Yes, because at the time of that post, I was distraught, thinking I would not be able to function my business past the next day.
This is you and he at the business?
Yes, sir, at the barbershop that he works at.
Who took that picture?
One of his clients, Bob.
Another photo of you and him on Facebook?
Yes, sir. We were cooking.
Your Honor, I'm just going to object as to relevance because we've already established that she's seeing this individual and we're getting off track from how this has anything to do with the business.
Well,
relevance, Mr. Hawley.
for the motion to adopt the the parenting plan concerning the children, I think every bit of this is relevant.
Overrule the objection because I'm allowing it solely for that purpose as to whether or not how it affects the court's decision on a parenting plan. We're at a pause, so we're going to break for lunch. We'll recess for lunch until 1:30. Mr. Hawley, you may continue your cross-examination.
Ms. Valdez, I'm going to show you a Facebook post and ask you if you're familiar with this post this morning.
Yes, sir, I am.
And what does that say?
It says, on our way to battle.
What are we battling today?
It is
Ms. Valdez?
It is a metaphor, Mr. Hawley. A metaphor is a use of symbolism.
Well, when you use a metaphor, you're kind of implying some things. What are you implying here?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. She's not implying anything. This isn't even her post.
Argumentative, Mr. Hawley. I understand she's on her way to court. Most people consider it to be a battle. And I don't think that is in any way derogatorily intended. So.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Valdez. Is this your post?
Yes, sir, it is.
Do you remember when you made this post?
I did, after I found out that Vincent Valdez took $10,000 out of my business account.
And you said what about that on your post? Can you read that?
Time to go to war. I was built for this.
Okay. And in your paragraph, your boyfriend said in a comment here, get your paint out, put your knife on, bring home the effing spoils, leave no survivors.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
He was talking to you in that situation, correct?
He was encouraging me after years of mental and emotional buck up and to be brave and strong and to not be amicable anymore in the divorce proceedings.
Okay. I'm going to show you a video and ask you if you recognize this video as a video of you at the house with a police escort. This is your daughter. And this was after you made this post, correct?
Yes, sir, it is. I actually called the police escort there for my own safety, hence the knife.
And you've got a knife on your belt, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct, for personal safety.
Was
The
it
police
because your
officers were there
boyfriend-
for me.
Was it because your boyfriend told you to?
And no, sir, that is a personal knife that actually my husband bought me.
You had the police there as well, correct?
For my own personal safety, yes, sir.
Yeah, and you still felt like you had to wear a knife?
That was for my own personal safety. Yes, sir.
And you talked about, you need this money for your business funds, to be able to pay employees, things of that nature. You did a photo.
I don't believe for a fucking second she wore that knife there because she felt unsafe. I absolutely believe that she wore the fucking knife because her little boyfriend told her to. And because she wanted to look like little Billy Badass for her new boy toy. Like, I don't believe anything she says at all.
Photo shoot.
Yes, sir, I did.
And where did you do a photo shoot at?
At Studio 110 by Holly Douglas in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Okay. And when did you do that?
Where?
When?
I did that, I want to say it was the first week of September, last week of August. I'd have to look back at the dates.
It was after you separated, correct?
Yes, sir, it was.
Sure. How much did that photo shoot cost you?
$2,800.
And I'm sorry, you said that was $3,500?
$2,800.
$2,800. Where did you get the money to do that with?
Personal loan.
Were there any photographs of you nude?
Yes, sir, there were.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again. I don't see the relevance between a photo shoot in parenting your children or a photo shoot in Giggles and Glam.
I could have another or two. I'll be glad to link that up, but this was actually on the
I'm going to
internet.
reserve ruling on it until Mr. Hawley is able to show some relevance.
And was this on the internet?
The nude photos were not, but the ones where I was in teddies and other undergarments were.
But you did have the nude internet with a blackout, correct?
Yes, blocking out the exposed area.
Okay. And that was on the internet, correct?
It was on a TikTok, yes, sir.
Are you concerned about your children seeing that at some point?
No, sir, I'm not, because they do not have a TikTok unless their father shows them that video.
Are you concerned about any day them seeing that about their mother on the internet?
No, sir, quite frankly, I'm not, because no nude area is exposed.
Do you use?
No, sir, I do not.
Could you pass test today? We've kind of requested one in the parenting plan and in the motion. Could you pass a test today?
What kind of test are we talking about?
Well, let's talk about a hair follicle 10-panel test that may go back 6 months.
No, sir, I would not pass that.
Why would you fail that then?
Because in the past, I have used shrooms.
Shrooms.
Yes, sir.
What are
Mushrooms.
shrooms?
It's hard to explain, but you ingest them and they make you feel euphoric for a few hours.
Mm. Okay, and you're referring to mushrooms, correct?
Yes, sir.
They are illegal.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and when's the last time you've done mushrooms?
About 3 weeks back.
3 weeks.
Mhm.
So it would have been after the separation as well.
Yes, sir.
Who did you do mushrooms with?
I did mushrooms with Christopher Draper in the privacy of my home when my kids were not present.
Okay, and he did them with you?
Yes, sir, he did.
Okay. Did you have any issues with someone that's going through rehab having a relapse by using mushrooms?
So one might say your drug addict boyfriend is not at all sober because he's still using drugs. He's still using shrooms, marijuana, alcohol, and he outright told the court he was not going to quit doing shrooms. And that's someone you want around your little bitty kids, one of which is 2 years old. And you think that's responsible, right? I would not trust you with a fucking house plant, let alone a 2-year-old.
Well, that was not his choice when he was in rehab, so I would not call that. Yes, sir, at the time it was.
Okay. And being addicted to means and going through rehab and court and battling countless felonies, it's still not considered by you to be a relapse if you're doing mushrooms and drinking alcohol every night.
I did not say that I was doing it every night. Yes, I have a Corona every night after running my 2 businesses and I get home.
And again, where were the kids when you were doing mushrooms? Were they with their dad?
They were with, yes, their father.
Okay. And you feel comfortable with the kids being with father while you're conducting this type of activity?
Is that a trick question? Of course, I feel comfortable with them being with their father.
You have any issues with Mr. Valdez having exclusive possession of the marital residence since you moved out?
No, I offered that to him in the original MDA.
So that's really unopposed today. He can have the marital residence.
I've always felt that way, yes, sir.
Okay. May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Right.
Ms. Valdez, a few things that I would like to clarify with you. You testified earlier to Mr. Hawley about how you left the marital residence, and then you testified about how you carry a knife with you when you went back to the marital residence. Can you tell the court a little bit about why you felt so unsafe returning to the marital home?
Yes, ma'am. So to put in some context that Mr. Hawley shared earlier prior to our recess, when I served Vincent with the divorce papers the Sunday following him kicking me out, I agreed to cohabitate with him while the divorce that lasted about a week until I had to leave due to me feeling unsafe. And there was an incident that occurred, I believe it was August 17th, somewhere right around there, where I was still visiting the residents throughout the day, cooking, cleaning, trying to provide a sense of normalcy for the children so we would not traumatize them while Vince and I were in transition. And while I was hanging up some of his shirts in the bathroom, as my daughter laid on the bed not 10 yards away, I felt Vince come up to my side from behind me, and I turned around. He was very close to me. He put his hands on my waist, proceeded to slowly, but regardless, push me up against the wall. I felt like he was trying to kiss me. His hands began to move a little bit lower down my waist. Eventually, they probably would have touched my buttocks. I told him no to stop 3 times. And when he wouldn't, I put my hands on his chest and pushed him off. I then left the residence, went to the backyard because I was so upset, called Christopher Draper, asked him what to do. And he said I needed to leave the residence immediately, even if it was without the kids, for my own safety, and to never go back in there, and unless I was accompanied with my mother or with a police officer.
Thank you for sharing that. And just to be clear, was your minor child present and
Yes.
witnessed your husband do that?
Yes.
All right. Council also showed you a video of your child crying.
Man, none of this is making you look any better. And quite frankly, I don't believe you. I just don't. I don't believe you were so distraught that he put his hand on your waist, that you fled the residence and just had to call the man you were having an affair with to ask him what to do about your husband. And if you're having to call the man you're having an affair with and ask them what to do, you can't make adult decisions on your own. Do you always have to ask someone else before you make decisions? If that's the case, then how are you adequately running 2 businesses? Oh wait, 1 business, because you ran the other business into the ground and it ended up closing because of your incompetence. Correct? Mm. We can finish this one up tomorrow. I'm gonna go to bed. We will get back to this one tomorrow. Right? I'm not a puppet. I'm not gonna ask somebody about every fucking move I make. Not gonna happen. I'm pretty sure I can make my own decisions and have been quite well and competently. I can't with her. I can't. But we will finish that video tomorrow, and trust me, it does get better. And by better, I mean she sticks her foot further up her own ass. And she does end up going to jail for contempt. So, I will see you all later. Bye.